So welcome everyone. Crazy login moments with technology and Canvas. But anyways, we're here. It is our second to last session of this term. So with that being said, this will be our last typical class, if you want to call it that, even with this little hiccup. But yeah, we'll go ahead and do our session. Next week, we'll go through our post assessment. So everything that we did on that first session, we'll try to cover and maybe a little bit extra if we have the time. But yeah, but for today, I do want to get a solid workout, full body. Maybe we'll try some new movements that we haven't yet. And again, with any new movements that we do, just be mindful that we want to make sure that we stay healthy. There's no pain. There's no we have full confidence that we can do that movement. There's no confusion. And of course, if something feels a little bit off or maybe irritates, causes pain, or just feels uncomfortable, let me know. We'll find a variation. But other than that, if you have any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself and let me know. Or otherwise, you could just type it in the chat. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my fitness tracker. Let's see how many calories we burn. But good morning to all. Let's start by looking left to right. So let's look left to right. We're just warming up. So I see more folks logging in, which is great. So again, just looking left to right at the moment, warming up, up and down. Morning, folks. You're just logging in. We're only about a minute into the class, trying to help majority of the class log in at the moment with our Canvas being out, not just here at Santa Ana, but statewide. Let's see our next circles. And it wasn't just junior colleges, it was also some universities too, I believe. Got hit. Again, just full next circles. Switch. Remember, these are done slowly. Make sure you're breathing comfortably. There you go. Let's do our snow angels here. And happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms out there. So our single arm windmill. I'm gonna take a couple of days off running, I believe. Yes, last week let's switch. I attempted to do a pretty long run around the Signal Hill area, and I think just the very steep hills, sudden hills that just kind of come at you from a turn. Anyways, I think it irritated my calf muscle as always. That's usually the body part that gets irritated most frequently. Reverse. So, anyways, yeah, it's just been achy, and my old self is usually pretty stubborn and would try to run through that. But then I start hurting a little bit more, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse, and I just don't want to go through that. I'm not a happy person to be about around. Let's start trunk rotations. So yeah, so before I get to that point, I'm just decided to take this week pretty relaxing and chill. I'll hop on the stationary bike probably and maybe do a little bit of weight training, but I think my legs are asking for a little break right now. So, or at least my lower legs. Try to get as much rotation as you can with each turn. All right, let's go ahead and do our big hula hoops, big hip circles. Switch. All right, let's do our ab circles. So from here, hinge at the hips, keep your back straight, pump. One more. Okay, very good. Go ahead and place your hand over a chair or a table. We're going to do our quad stretch. Grab right above your ankle, pull back. Yeah, so we had our competition in Bakersfield on Saturday, and um, yeah, my runner did pretty well. She placed third, so finished third in Southern California and switch. So then this Saturday, she competes at the state championships. Uh, so this will be our last week of track season. So then we get a little break. Then cross country practices begin in the summer. All right, let's go ahead and do our hamstrings. So we're standing here. We're just going to slide our hands down to our ankles, drop our glutes down, and then extend. So bent, glutes down, extend. Ooh, lots of popping. All right, and our last stretch before we start with this workout, it's our deep squat. So drop your hips as low as you can. All right, chest up, and we're here. So, and you could just shift your weight left to right. And rise. Ooh, all right, very good. All right, make sure you have some water nearby. Okay, so let me know if we have any requests on movements that we want to do right now. So our first set, well, I want to incorporate some compound movements, so just movements that require multiple muscle groups at the same time. So we'll do some of those today, and then we'll incorporate some that are going to require just the smaller movements. Okay, so to start off, we're going to go ahead and do an air squat. So air squats are just going to be positioned as ankles, your feet, about shoulder width apart. The further you go out, the more it's going to target your glutes and your hamstrings. The closer you're together, the more it's going to target your quads, so the front part. Okay, so if you want that middle kind of balance, you want shoulder width apart, okay? So, all right, and again, no weights, just air squats, body weight. So, but we do want to get our hips as low or close to as low as our knees, okay? So, not here, but really coming down and up. And you don't want to lean forward either. So, you're gonna inhale on your way down and then exhale on your way up, okay? So, we're doing 12 to 15. And let's do about a count of 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up. Okay, so ready? Okay, go. So pause at the bottom for a second, then back up. That's 1, 2, 3. We'll do these in supersets. So we'll pair this up with another exercise. And we'll do 2 rounds of each. Okay, so we'll do each superset twice. Instead of having groups of 5 exercises, for this session, we'll do um, pairs of exercises in 2 sets. So again, so inhale on your way down, exhale on your way up. Then aim for 3 more. 2 more. And last one. Very good. All right, let me find another one. Just having a list here of exercises that we could work together. All right, so let's go ahead and do our dumbbell, our front hand dumbbell raises. So this is going to target your shoulders and your chest. Okay, so dumbbells are held here, bottom position, palms are facing the camera. Bring that dumbbell close to your shoulder height. Okay. All right, so if you're gonna grab those dumbbells, yep. And Jen, yeah, that's a nice warm up too. If you just want to warm up into that stretch. So, but for this one, I do recommend some dumbbells. Just we have a little bit of resistance here. I'll give you folks another 10 seconds or so. But if you're ready to go, we'll start here. And anything that dumbbells are going away from you, it's usually you want to go a little bit lighter with the weights. Okay, we're here. 3, 4, 5. Go wide out and then closing here. 6, 7, 8, 9. Go 12 to 15. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. All right. All right, we're gonna rest for 1 minute. We're gonna do that superset a second time. So the second round, let's go ahead and use the dumbbells for air squats, okay? Good job. So 1 minute rest. This is where you get your water, catch your breath. How's everyone doing today? Good. Hopefully not too many issues with
Good, Cody, good.
and good job. All right, let's go with their air squats. Okay. I'm gonna use my dumbbells. I'm just gonna use the dumbbells on my shoulders just to rest them there. And I like keeping them here because now my arms aren't supporting them without weakening my arms for the next movement. Okay. So shoulder width apart, and again, 10 to 12. Ready, begin. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So drop down. Let's catch your breath. In between these movements, take about 30 seconds. Then we'll go back to our underhand front raises. Then we'll move on to different exercises. All right, let's go ahead and grab those dumbbells. We're here. I'm going to go with my split stance, just a little bit better for my back. From here, up. So again, 12 to 15 of these. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Very good. Put those down. We're resting for a minute right now. All right, what's next? Okay. All right, for the next one, we'll go ahead and just sit down. This one shouldn't be too taxing. I know the air squats, front raises, get us a little bit tired. So we're gonna go with sitting bicep curls. Okay, so sitting bicep curls. So we're gonna be out here, then just curl. You could use, if you can, resting your elbows or your arms on your back rest if you're able to, so your arms don't swing. And then for our lower body, what we're gonna do is just place your dumbbells right above your knees, and then just raise your heels, and that's gonna work your calves a little bit, okay? So let's go ahead and start with those dumbbells. So we're here and begin. 1, 2, sure you get a full extension. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Very good. Next there. These aren't too taxing, so if you just want to rest your dumbbells right above your knees, just make sure that they're not going to fall off and hit your toes. So again, just here, and then just raise your heels, and then back down. And for these, since these aren't too bad, you want to do about 20 of these. Okay, so about a half a second or second pause up top, and then drop your heels back down. 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18, and 20. Okay, could rest. Again, just a short rest since this isn't super taxing. Actually, since we're in our chair, let's go ahead and just include our sitting good mornings. So that's going to be for our lower back. But pretty much you could go body weight or you could hold a dumbbell here. And we're just going to bend over and then come back. Okay, so you see my legs are separated. So that's so I could give my torso some room to kind of go in between. Okay, so good mornings. Let's go ahead and do 10 to 12. Ready? And begin. So I'm just gonna go body weight here. You just keep that back straight. Almost how when we hinge for um the ab circles, how we want to keep our back straight on that stretch. Right. Okay. So yeah, that one took my breath away a little bit. So we're gonna go back to our bicep curls once we are done here. So we'll start in about 20 seconds. Our bicep curls. So getting the next set going. Okay. All right. Very good. So again, back to our bicep curls. So you're resting towards the back. Arms aren't can't go anymore because they're being stopped from with your back rest. But then we're just gonna curl. Okay. So let's go ahead, extend, and begin. So one, two, three, four, five, six, full extension, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Great. Good stuff. All right. So resting here. Whew. Okay. To our calf raises, 20 calf raises. So when you're ready, go ahead and begin. Just raise those heels off the ground. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I try to do these heel raises not too quickly, really trying to press down with my toes and slowly elevating the heels. I think I need to be doing more of these for my calves to get stronger. Awesome. All right. I'm just gonna separate my legs apart a little bit, sit towards the front of the chair because I want space for the next movement, which is the good mornings. Again, if you're standing, so Jen, if you're standing, you could do these standing too. So you probably have more range of motion standing. So, all right, go ahead. So again, so if you feel like you're not getting much of a movement or workout with the sitting version, then try standing and just hold that dumbbell close to your chest and lean. I just wanted to switch it up with the workout and have a variety. So there's always an option to do it standing or sitting with this one. Let's do three more. Last one. Very good. All right. Okay. So this is where we're gonna rest for a minute. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and do our lateral squat shuffle or our crab walks. That's when we find a long space in our room. We're gonna squat down and just get on that squat position and shuffle across back and forth. This one we're gonna go for time. Okay, so keep that in mind, and we're gonna superset that with our lateral to front raise. Okay, so lateral to front raise, lateral shoulder front raise. Okay, so 10 seconds, and we're gonna do our squat shuffle for 45 seconds. So just try to stay low. Your torso is nice and upright as it could be. And then you just want to keep your hips low because you'll notice that as you're getting more tired, your hips are going to start to come up and you might find yourself closely standing. So, ready? Three, two, one, go. So again, just right here, just side to side. Once you reach the end, shuffle back. We're doing 45 seconds here. Stay as low as you can. At 35 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo. Your breath. Remember, our next one's our shoulder front raise. Okay, so get ready. Whew. That one's definitely a cardio option. So if you have one of those cardio classes in the summer, you could expect that exercise in there. All right, ready? So for these, we're gonna do 8 and 8. So 8 lateral raises and 8 forward raises. Okay, so grab your dumbbells. We're gonna go up here, back down, and then front and down. That's one. We're doing 8. So start. 1, 2. Make sure you're breathing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Feeling good. Might go for 10 actually. 8, 9, and 10. Alrighty. Good. We're gonna go back to our squat shuffles. After this next set, we'll take a little quick 2-minute break, little bathroom break, water break. Oh, yeah, I was getting worried about taking this week a little bit lighter with like my training. Because I do have that race at the end of July, but then I looked at the calendar and I'm like, July's like late July's like 2.5 months away. I'm like, I don't know why I'm stressing. I should just listen to my body. So listen to your body. Oof. 20 more seconds. We'll start our squat shuffles. Great. This one, if you do want to challenge yourself, you could always hold a dumbbell in the goblet style, so up here, and then just shuffle with that. Okay. All right. If you're ready, go ahead and join me. Ready? Squat down, and then begin. If you really want to challenge yourself, take giant steps. Okay. So as far as you could go. Oof, yeah. That definitely works it a little bit more. Oh. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Time. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. All right. We have our front raises, and we have our little break. All right, let's go ahead and grab those dumbbells. Again, 8 to 10 of these. Ready? And begin. So lateral, front. It's 1, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. Very good. Finish up, and then we'll start again in 2 minutes. All righty. So we think most of us are back. Now I'll give a few more, 30 seconds or so. But we targeted shoulders, we've done chest, biceps, we've done hip flexors, glutes. So we've done calves. All right, so what can we do? We could do hamstrings. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll do some Romanian deadlifts for our hamstrings, and then we'll also incorporate some movement for our triceps. So we could do our tricep overhead extension, or the safer version where you're leaning on a shelf or on a table or a chair, just getting some support. Trying to keep your back as straight as possible, keeping that elbow to your side and extending. That's going to work your triceps. So this next set is going to be triceps and hamstrings. Let me see the chat. Okay, Diane, I think left. So, all right, so for our hamstrings, let's go ahead, grab your dumbbells, slight bend at your knees, almost like our hamstring stretch, and then just glide your dumbbells down your shins towards your ankles. Keep your head looking down, and then come back up straight, and then back down. Slide slowly. It should be about 4 or 5 seconds down, and then up, and then down. It's two. This one's slower, but we're strengthening and stretching at the same time. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one. 10. All right. Definitely slower movement. Just the first set takes about 10 seconds a rep. So yeah, that took almost 2 minutes. Catch your breath. Okay. Like I said, we have our tricep extensions next. So you could do these sitting down. You could do them overhead. You could also do dips if you are pretty confident and strong in the triceps. You could do these dips if you don't have that equipment, or you could do tricep extensions. Okay, so three different options here. We're just trying to target the triceps. So again, if you're doing dips, go ahead and do 10 to 15. If you're doing these extensions, give me 10 on each arm. So we're here and extend. And if you're doing overhead, give me 12 to 15 as well. 3, 4. Again, if you're doing the ones I'm doing, you're just extending at the elbow. 10. I'm gonna correct myself, position my other side. Again, elbow at my side and begin. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. We'll take the rest of that minute off, so another 40 seconds off. Okay. So remember, we're doing our Romanian deadlift. Now, if you want to challenge yourself, that first set seemed a little easy. We could do the ones that we do in our balance class where we're on one foot elevated or staggered, and we go down here and we switch at the bottom and alternate. Okay, so if you want to do those, let's go ahead and aim for, I say 14 of those, so 7 and 7. Okay, And if you want to stay the same, you could always do the ones we just did. All right, I'm gonna go with the staggered. So if you're ready, go ahead and begin. So again, if you're doing the ones I'm doing now, for balance as well, at the bottom, you're gonna switch your dumbbell from one hand to the other. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm supposed to switch. 13. Okay. Whew. All right. And for triceps, I'm gonna switch it up and go with overhead extensions. For this one, you can switch it up, keep it the same. So I'm just gonna do these sitting down. I'm here and I'm gonna extend and drop. Just make sure you don't have that dumbbells close to your back. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm gonna go for 15 of these. 13, 14, and 15. All right, awesome. All right, we're gonna transition down to the floor. Okay, so grab your yoga mat. We're gonna be doing some floor exercises. We'll probably finish off on the floor, so if you want to just hang around the floor area, this will work out. Okay. All right, so for our floor exercises, we're going to start off with core. Okay, give our arms a little bit of rest, and then we'll go ahead and incorporate push-ups at some point. All right, so we're going to lay our hands on our laps and slide them towards our knees. We're going to go for 45 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. So again, doing abs over here. 45 seconds. That seems easy enough. Try to elevate your heels off the floor. Have them floating. 20 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. All right, so that's abs. Okay, we could rotate on our side now. We're just gonna roll into our Jane Fonda's here. Okay, so we're here and we're gonna raise the leg up and down. All right, we're gonna do 10 on each side. Ready, and begin. One. Make sure that leg does not slam back down to the floor. Two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, and 10. Great. All right. Switch sides. I'm gonna do the other leg. All right. So again, just up as fast as you can and slowly back down. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, and 10. All right. Hopefully your arms are rested because this is where we are now gonna add push-ups. Push-ups is usually one of the more challenging ones. So let's go ahead and get ready. So remember, you could do knee-assisted push-ups. You could do traditional push-ups. Uh, Wider is gonna work on your chest. Closer is gonna work more on your arms. So find that balance. Ready? So anywhere between 8 to 15. And begin. And rest your arms. All right. I like that floor set. Give yourself a minute. We'll start back again with the crunches. 30 more seconds. Okay. Back to our abs. So again, sliding sit-ups or crunches, either one. You could even do, if you want to really switch it up, you could do bicycles. So those are where you're rotating your legs back and forth. It's working also on your hip flexors too. Right, some good mobility for your hips. All right, here we go. Ready? And three, two, one, go. 45 seconds. 30 seconds left. Keep it going. 15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. Ooh, nice work. I that got me going. Here you go. Next is going to be, instead of our Jane Fondas, we're going to go with clamshells. So that's where our feet are stacked, our knees are stacked, hips. So you see how we, instead of being extended, we're gonna close up a little bit and just separate at the knees. Okay, so this is, if you do happen to have a mini band, those circular bands, you could put one of those around your legs. This would be a good time for that equipment. So again, put the mini band, I would say either around your thighs. If you want it more challenging, around your knees. Okay, so we're gonna go up, separate as far away as you can from each other, and back down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Great. Yeah, that one you could really make it as easy or as hard as you want just by expanding your legs away from each other. If you're not expanding very much, then it shouldn't be that challenging. But if you're going further and holding longer, you'll feel that glute fatiguing. And begin on the opposite side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right. Very good. Gonna go into our last set of push-ups, okay? And after that, we'll cool down from the floor. We will call it. All right, here we go. Push-ups. Last set. So again, anywhere between 8 and 15. Ready? And begin. Oof. Here you go, Jen. Nice work. All right. Let's go ahead and start with our stretches, okay? So we'll start with our lower back. So it could just be belly down, resting on your elbows, okay? So belly down, resting on your elbows. Here, stretching lightly. Okay, let's go ahead and use our hands where our elbows are at, then push. From here, let's bring our glutes to our heels. So glutes to heel. Reset. Okay. Make sure your knees are right under your hips. Your hands are right under your shoulders. Let's shuffle to the left hand side. Let's get there. Let's arch up. Bring your glutes back to your heels. You should feel a stretch on your right side. Switch. Let's go ahead. Switch here to the right side. Arch up. Glutes back. And reset. All right, just to get a little bit of some hip action here, we're just gonna extend. We're gonna be in the kneel position and extend that right leg to the side. And just lean forward slightly. So slightly lean forward. And just feel that stretch throughout your hamstring, your hip flexor. Let's switch. So again, left leg comes out and let's lean forward. Ten more seconds. And relax. Oof. All right, everyone. That should do it for today. Do we have any questions before we head out? About 170 calories today. So again, hopefully Canvas is all squared away, no issues. But yeah, if we don't have any questions, then I'll see all of you next Monday. Next Monday is our last session. And if you're in my Wednesday class, then I'll see you on Wednesday. But yeah, let me know if you have any friends that are interested or relative in joining our classes. I know Ella made out an email that she shared with some folks of just the instructions point by point in an outline format. And so if you want me to share that email with you, I can, and that just makes it really easy for folks to enroll. But if you don't have any questions, then I'll see you folks on. Oh, all right, folks. Take
Gracias,
care.
Julio.
Thank
Adios.
you.
Have a good day, folks.
You
Yes,
too.
too.
Take care. Bye. Bye, guys.